Jason Griggs, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing today?
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. Pumped to talk to you about some real estate today.
Me too, man. I love talking about real estate with people who are doing big things. So, if you're listening and you want to learn how to do rental property investing the right way from an expert, this is the show to listen to. So, if you do get value today, leave us a review. And obviously, at the end of the show, there'll be a way to contact Jason. So, Jason, let's get right into it, man. Give us your backstory before real estate in 60 seconds or less.
All right. I go to college. I get
Okay.
a degree in being a communications major, and I have a master's degree in being a physical education teacher. I moved to Las Vegas. I just had to get out of New York, needed a change, come to Vegas. I start teaching. I hate it. Wanted a new job, wanted a new direction. Got involved with a lacrosse team out here, coaching. I love coaching lacrosse. And somebody gave me an opportunity to get into real estate. Became an agent and took all my money that I made and started investing it heavily into real estate, rental properties. And now I'm up to, I think, 23 rentals all across the country, here in Vegas, Henderson, and haven't looked back since.
That's amazing. Well, it makes sense. Talk about lacrosse and being from Long Island. That's like a lacrosse hotbed. So,
Oh yeah.
uh,
Oh
that's
yeah.
like the biggest lacrosse area in the country.
Oh yeah.
Connecticut, Long Island,
It's the
Jersey.
Mecca, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, let's get it right into rental properties because a lot of people on my show they talk about doing big development deals, doing flips, doing wholesales. We obviously have people talk about rentals, but not as much. So let's just dive into like what was your first rental property? Like, what was that like? What tell me about the deal, and then obviously you
Yeah.
run from there.
I had a kind of an early mentor, my cousin Joe, and he kind of pushed me to get my license. He's like, you should get this because real estate in Vegas was so cheap. The property taxes are cheap compared to where we're from.
Yeah,
So just to give you an example, like property taxes are $1,000 a year
still.
still.
Oh my gosh, that's
Okay.
crazy. Like Delaware.
So, where we're from, they're 15 up to 40,000 a
Yeah,
year.
easily.
So he pushed me to get my license, and I just, he always put in my head like you're not going to get rich by and be really successful by being an agent. You're going to make more money by owning rental properties, but it's going to take time. So I ended up buying my first one within the first 6 months of me being an agent. I bought a little 3-2 in Henderson. I bought it for 250. It's worth like almost 700,000 now. And we just rented the crap out of it for the past 7 years and just paying down the mortgage. And, I just started snowballing it, keep doing them.
Wow, so Henderson. I mean, I've been to Henderson. I mean, it's a nice little suburb of Vegas. I mean, what on earth happened there that property went up so much? That is absolutely that's like California like appreciation.
Yeah. It became, well, Vegas in general, the whole market exploded.
Yeah.
But this is like 2015.
Okay.
It wasn't really, Vegas was still growing, but then it really exploded. Once the hockey team came, the Raiders came, the prices just started inflating and going through the roof. And I never sold any of my rentals. So that was one smart thing that I did. And so I hung on to them, and it's just like a cash flowing machine, man. Just collecting rent every single month.
I call it a lifetime paycheck.
I never heard that one before. I
You
like
know,
that.
I
Yeah.
have a property I bought, and like this one I bought in cash because it was kind of cheap, and I'm like, I can have my money in the bank, or I could stick it in this property that I'm already buying at a discount, and it can send me a paycheck in
Every,
perpetuity. It's like, how do
right.
you?
And
Yeah,
I say that no one can take it from you, right? The market could crash tomorrow. That thing's paid off. Doesn't matter.
as long as it like, yeah, exactly. Even if you had a mortgage, like as long as the tenant's paying rent, like the market takes a shit, like you got a 30-year fixed loan on there, like who
It's
cares?
fine. Yep.
You know,
And so
cool.
it's funny now because now my interest rates, everyone's like, you should have sold it and, took the 300, 400,000. And I'm like, dude, I got like a 2.8 interest rate on this thing, man. I'm never selling this thing.
It doesn't make any sense. It's funny you say that. I had a refi and it was like, yeah, it was like 2.9. And I'm like, why would I ever pay this property off? Makes no
Right.
sense.
Yep.
Makes no sense to do that.
I know. So now I kind of switched my model where my low interest rates ones, because I do pay down my mortgages on I would say a good 30% of them. But now I'm on my bigger interest rates. I'm taking that cash flow. I'm paying down my bigger ones now, just so I could catch up.
You're paying down like the PITI. You're taking the cash
Yes.
flow and paying down the
Yeah.
higher interest rate.
I always do that. Always.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And is this just the objective is just to be able to pay that property off sooner? Like, is that really the goal?
Yeah, that's the goal, to get to 50 properties that are all paid off. Then you have no stress, nothing, no
Then you
debt.
never worry about money again. It's funny. Gary Keller says,
No.
buy it right, pay it down, pay it off.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's funny that I'm like the abnorm of that. And a lot of people in Vegas, a lot of the bigger investors are anti that. They're like, refi it, take
No.
the cash, buy, 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 buy. But now, okay, now they have no equity in any of their properties
Yeah.
because they can't really buy much anymore because the interest rates are so crazy. And now they're kind of really, they're skin thin. And
Yeah.
so now they're like, yeah, you were right. The way you did it was the right way to do it.
Dude, I totally agree with you because if there's this one guy who says like refi until you die, and I don't want to refi everything because even if you get a good deal, because I want equity in those properties. I want to have that, like you said, like the margin to where, it's worth 350, you owe 150. It's already making a profit. Like if you just look at like your net worth for that one property, it's like,
Exactly.
200 grand plus you're getting paid every month, plus the taxes. It's like, why would you want to like there's this thing I see where I'm sure you see this too. It's like people they just want to it's like how big is your what, like how many properties do you own? I got 300 units, I got 400 units. It's like, do you really though? Because you have a syndication, you own 30% of the GP, and you have a partner, so you really own
Yeah.
15% of a property, right? And it's like I went to a syndication seminar and I wanted to throw up going there. Like I was almost like dry heaving in the bathroom, like because I was like, this is a fucking terrible, like this is not for me. Not saying it's a bad business, but
Right.
I did not like it.
It's all bullshit for Instagram.
Complete bullshit. Yeah, I was like, I was looking at my buddies and I'm like, guys, let's get the fuck back to California. Like this is wash. It was,
Yeah, you know what? It's
yeah,
funny because like a lot of people, so many people are full of crap, man, when it comes to real estate. And so I started doing social media heavy
yeah,
about 9, 10 months ago. And I was just like, I'm gonna do this and I'm just gonna be real. I'm just gonna
yeah.
talk about my process, how I do it. It's not a lie. I'm gonna be super upfront, honest, because so anybody could look at me. I had no money. I had no money 7 years ago, but I just started saving money and investing it correctly and smartly. And I don't drive a Ferrari, and I just look like the payoff is going to come down the line. It's not going to be this year in 5 years. It's going to be in 15, 20
It's a
years
long
when
game. It's a long.
I don't have to work anymore, and then my kid's not going to have to work anymore either. So that's always the goal for me.
It's so true, man. The I have 15-year mortgages on my rentals actually, because the one credit union locally in the Hudson Valley, like that's their only thing. And I'm
Okay.
like, fuck it. I'm still making cash flow on them and it'll be paid off in 15 years. I'm like,
Yeah. I'm a big fan of 15 years, to be honest with you. I
I
have a
like them,
lot of
dude. I
love
think they're
them.
sexy.
Love them. I have a 15-year in my personal house. I mean, it's like my personal house is almost paid off, and I have
Dude,
a
build
lot. All
equity so
my
much faster.
right. I know. I look at all my payoffs like every 6 months, and I'm like the 15-year one. I'm like I got to do more 15 years.
Makes so
It's so
much
much
sense,
better.
dude.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
It's awesome. So let's get into some Airbnbs because I don't
Okay.
think I've ever had an Airbnb, maybe one or
Oh,
two.
let's go, man. I'm the
Like,
guy. I know it.
here's the thing with Airbnb. Like, I have a buddy who does them.
Mhm.
I got another buddy who does them. I have like properties and they're just like regular rentals, right? So what's the deal with Airbnb? Obviously, we know you can rent them for more money because it's basically like a glorified hotel, almost like a comparable to a hotel.
Yep.
But the big thing with Airbnbs that I see people fuck up is they only run the numbers based on it making sense as an Airbnb. And if it doesn't make sense as an
Mm,
Airbnb, they're going Airbnb bankrupt, if you know what I'm saying.
yes.
So
Okay. Okay.
let's get into that. Like,
All right. So we're
what
gonna
is the
get
deal
into
with
it.
these Airbnbs in Vegas?
All right. So I think Vegas has probably one of the best short-term rental markets in the country
I would
because
agree
it's
with that.
very touristy, right?
That's all it
So
is.
that's why I got into it. So
Yeah.
a lot of people invest in oversaturated markets, California, Florida, beach towns. So
Jersey
the revenue
Shore.
isn't right.
Yeah.
It's not as good. Ours are really good. And so there's actually a lot of rules and laws that we have to go through to get these licenses, which I do, and I teach
Is this
how
in
to do
Clark
it.
County or the city of Las Vegas?
City of Henderson.
City of Henderson. Okay.
City of Henderson. That's where most of mine are.
Okay.
And so there's just a big demand for these things. So we make them really nice. We put nice amenities in them, and it just kind of exploded. Where, yeah, they're a little bit more money up front, but to your point, you have to look at it as a long-term rental first.
Yes.
Okay, my mortgage is 3 grand. Would I be able to rent this for 4 as a long term? Okay, 4,000 a month. Yes, I could. Great. Now let's look at the Airbnb side. All right, this thing's bringing in 12, 13, 14, 15,000 a month. now we could rock and roll. And so that's kind of where we go.
Oh my goodness. So with those types of numbers, like where it's like 4 or 5x what the regular rent is, how much of that, like let's say it grosses 13, let's say it grosses 14 grand a month and your
Mm-hmm.
basis with PITI is like four. Let's just say that you got a
Yep.
$10,000 spread there. How much of that does goes to overhead, including the property manager and all the other Airbnb?
Great question. So my goal on like my lower ones is to double the mortgage payment. So if my mortgage is 1,500, I want to take home 3 grand after all expenses.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's on the lower scale. Now I have bigger ones that 3, 4x that. So my bigger one, for example, my 9,000 square foot mansion, my all in is 10K, and I've had months where I brought in 55, 60,000 a month.
What would that rent for if there was no Airbnbs, like 12, 15 grand a month?
I think 30 to 35 on the long term side. It's a crazy house when I show it to
Is
you.
it in Henderson?
It's in Henderson,
Henderson is
956
good.
San Gabriel. It's a
Yeah,
monster.
because you're on the way to like the Hoover Dam and all that kind of like you're on your way, like it's
Well,
towards that.
it's only 15 minutes, 20 minutes from the strip. And it's a
Yeah.
secluded area, and it's a huge house. We have a volleyball court, beach volleyball court, tennis court, pickleball court, pool, basketball court, basement, 9 bedrooms,
Basement in
crazy
Vegas.
themes. Yeah. And people they want to throw the bachelor parties. They want to throw events. So that's what when we saw an opportunity to go into a bigger luxury one, that's what we did.
What do you generally get a night during a decent season? Two, 3 grand.
2,000 on that one to about 3,500.
Wow, those numbers are
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah,
Sick, sick, sick.
it's now this is a unique one, right?
Yeah.
So we'll scale down a little bit. I have ones that bring in 10, 12,000 a month. But the game is it's not the money will be there in our market. It's the expenses that are killer. We go through a lot of towels, sheets, furniture breaking. Um, we get violations, $500 every time for noise. Those things add up.
Can
So
you
it's
bill the
about
violations back to the client?
you can, but you don't want to because then you
And
get
they're going
mad
to
at the
shit on your
landlord.
property. They're going to say these people always hit me with fees, right?
Yep. So that's been the goal for us. We've kind of gone like this. We started it amazing, but then there's slow seasons,
Yeah.
and there's no guarantee that people are going to book your house. But we really stabilized it over the past 6 months, and it's just like a free flowing machine now.
I mean, in worst case scenario, if you got to rent it to a regular tenant, like you're still making a positive cash flow. So who really gives a shit? It's all upside.
Yeah, yeah, and I get crazy offers, man. I get insurance companies hit me up, just like professional athletes hit me up, like they're like, "Hey, I need a place for 3 months. Can we work something out?" And I'm happy to do stuff like that. But when you do it a long-term rental, you don't have those opportunities.
No.
So it's kind of like I'm in both zones with the long term and the short term. With the short term, it's more work, but there's more opportunities.
Do you have a management company run that for you and you pay them like 25% of the revenue
Yeah, we
like
we
that?
do. I partnered with a property management company and they helped me. And then there's a few that weren't doing okay, and I'm gonna take them over myself because I could just save that percentage and then they will do well.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, dude. I mean, Vegas, like I said, I actually did a deal. It was it was kind of by Summerlin. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like it was in like a senior community. This was like 3 months ago. We assigned something over to somebody.
Sun City,
I think
Sun
it was
City,
over there.
Summerlin.
It was
Okay.
over on Grayling Drive, and it was an assignment deal we did. It was just a random lead we got from Google,
Okay.
and we wholesaled the house, did pretty well on it. But I realized with Vegas, like it was a lot more expensive than I thought. Like I thought Vegas was like, you know, sub 250, 275, and I
Not
was like,
anymore.
no, I was looking at the values, and I'm like, damn, I can pay a lot more for this house. So we ended up doing that deal. So Vegas, I've noticed is like it's not ultra expensive like San Diego, but it's a good market where you can really get some good appreciation now, and obviously you're getting great cash flow. So back on the regular rental side, like you
Mm-hmm.
got the Airbnbs, we talked about that.
Yep.
You got your regular rentals. What areas in Vegas do you like to target to where the numbers make sense now based on these bigger purchase prices?
Okay, so now it's getting more difficult because the interest rates are so high.
Sure.
So now you got to make a decision. Like last year, I couldn't find a deal. I couldn't find a deal, but the interest rates were amazing. But now it's the opposite. I have a ton of opportunities to buy deals, but the money's expensive.
Yeah.
So I can't cash flow right now. So what I'm doing now is I became a really real expert in creative finance
Got it.
and doing seller finance deals, taking over sub two deals. And I've had to expand into new markets.
Okay.
I've expanded like really into Kansas City
Can't.
and Gulfport, Mississippi,
Okay.
because those properties are still in the 200, 250, and their rents are 2,000 a month.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Kansas
So
City. I
just
can see
because I'm
Kansas City.
here, right? Just because I'm here doesn't mean I have to stay here. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean I have to work in this. And I feel like I dominated this Henderson when it was low, but now it's high. And
Yeah.
so I'm looking at houses that are $1 million. I'm like, there's no way this is $1 million. Like it's like crazy to think or even see. Like even going back home to Long Island, I'm like $1 million in Vegas, and then you see a real $1 million house in Garden City,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. On the North
you know what I'm
Shore, you're
saying?
like, yeah, this is $1 million house north of
Exactly.
the Bay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just now I'm just testing waters of different markets. They're easier in not a saturated market. Vegas is tough. It's a
It
tough
is
off
tough.
market town,
Tough market. A lot
and
of people
so
competing there.
yeah, a lot of compete here. And so I have a lot of rentals here, which is great. But now I'm just looking into other opportunities in other markets.
So when you're finding these properties in other markets besides Vegas, like let's call it Kansas City for now,
Hmm.
are you are a real estate agent, so you obviously are familiar with the MLS system. Are you looking for off-market properties? Or are you looking for deals on the MLS that you can get at a reasonable price so you don't have to go through all the bullshit of marketing and lead gen and all that shit?
So I had a really good learning experience, and I found that I'm not very good at the marketing. I'm
Interesting.
awful at it. It's very, I don't know. It's like a
It's a
techie
whole nother business,
business,
bro. It's a
right? It's
whole
a whole
nother
nother,
business.
but I'm very good at networking. So I've made really good relationship with wholesalers out there. Happy to pay their fee
Yeah.
all the time. They give me 20% off the deal. Great. I don't have to do any work. I don't have to spend any money in marketing. And then I have some agents bringing me deals, but it's mainly networking or Facebook. A
Okay.
lot of, I would say I get a good solid 10 deals I look at a day just from other wholesalers across the country.
Amazing. That's it's funny you say that because a lot of people think that if they get into this business, they have to go do direct marketing. And that's my business, right? That's my whole business. It's not easy. I've been doing it for years. We've spent millions, we've made millions, but there's a lot of effort and time and money that goes into that. But
Right.
if you have a system like you have, and you don't want to do the marketing, like you just said, you can network and buy deals off wholesalers. I was telling someone this morning, I was actually on a Zoom call with a client, and I said, listen, if I had my druthers, if I had to start over again, and I had money, I would just buy off wholesalers. If I knew I could buy off wholesalers all day long, which I
Yep.
probably could if I focused on it, there's so much value in just being able to pay somebody an assignment fee. And I don't care how much a wholesaler makes.
Right.
If a
Right.
wholesaler makes 100 grand and the number still works for me, I'm so happy for that wholesaler because they know that I'm not going to count their pockets and they're going to bring me another deal. And I'm like,
Yep.
oh man, you made 100 grand. Congrats, man. This is awesome. And they're not going to get pissed. But I know some buyers who they're like, oh, the wholesaler should only make $25,000. It's like, what does that have to do with the numbers?
I
You
know.
know what I
You
mean?
know what's funny? My partner's like that.
Do they do
I
that?
like that term, count other people's pockets.
They
He does
do.
that all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care what other anybody else. I just paid somebody $7,000 for. I did a sub two deal in Mississippi. 7 grand. I got a house. So it's cash flowing 1,000 a month.
Who cares? You're going to get your money
Who
back in
cares?
7 months.
7 grand. I gave the girl. That's it. And I think my entry fee was like another five. So
You
I was
can't go
like
wrong there.
home
Yeah.
run deal. Do you guys do the seller financing? Are you doing creative
I've
financing too
done a
in New York?
sub, not a sub. I've done a seller finance deal in San Diego.
Okay.
Just kind of pulled it out of my ass. It was actually a piece of land.
Mm-hmm.
On sub twos, we've came close. We had one of them we almost bought 2 months ago, but it was kind of weird. It was a bankruptcy deal. Seller signed the contract. We took it to title. This was in the state of Delaware. But because the seller filed bankruptcy, the court wouldn't allow the deed to transfer with a mortgage in their name. So
Right.
the deal got
Yeah,
squashed.
it's sticky.
Yeah, and then on Long Island, in the Hudson Valley, it's like the attorneys usually squash those because they're like, why would my client let you take their mortgage over? So if you're in an attorney
Right.
state, it's harder. But I have not done a sub two deal. No, I'd love to, but I saw one yesterday and the entry fee was like 40 grand and it was only making like $200 a month. And I told the wholesaler, I'm like, dude,
Nah, that's not
nah,
good.
man, not worth it.
I'm actually doing one today in Oklahoma, and I have
Okay.
another one I'm doing today in Kansas City. So I
Are
have
you
two working right now.
from wholesalers?
Yes, yes, they're both from wholesalers, but they don't know how to do it. That's the
It's
thing. They
crazy.
bring
Why don't they
me the
just fucking get
deal.
the deal? They're crazy. It's like
They will. There's no spread on the deal, right? So I'll use the Kansas City one for example. The home's 280. The guy wants 280, and I'm like, all right, I'll give you the 280, but you got to finance it to me for a certain length. And the guy's like, I could sell it, and I'm like, yeah, you're gonna sell it, but your house is really only worth 260,
yeah.
and the commissions. So I'm gonna give you 30, 40 grand over, but we're gonna elongate this over 7 years, and I'm
So
gonna
that was
give
a
you
seller carry deal.
that's a seller finance deal. Yep. And
And
so that's what I'm working on today. And so we're just, going back and forth of how to do it. But these wholesalers don't know how to structure. So now what I'm getting into is I'm actually going to a brokerage who does marketing like you. And
yeah.
I'm going to train their sales team of how to do this. Now it's going to get easier and easier as time goes on because the market's going down and everyone's equity's gone. So they're kind of shit out of luck.
$100.
They can't sell their house. They're upside down. So now the only option, they have to hang on for the ride, and it's either they're paying it or they're pushing off to somebody like me, who I'll take it and then I'll rent it out to somebody else.
No, that makes total. Especially if you have that knowledge, it's like the most valuable thing you can have. The
Oh,
ability.
it's so valuable, man. And then you know what's funny? I never even did one of those courses, the Pace Morby guy. Like I'm not in his Zoom thing or whatever, the Facebook group. I just did 2 deals myself, and I just taught myself how to do it. And then it's such an easier conversation to have because these people are hurting for money.
Yes.
So now you're talking to somebody that's like bleeding, and like you're giving them the band-aid to stop it. And then
Yeah.
they're looking at you like, hey, you're God, like, wow, you can really like help me here. And I'm like, yes,
They didn't
because other
even know that
agents,
was an option
no,
until
I
you
did a
showed
crazy
up.
deal. Listen to this. So
I love it.
I did the craziest deal I've ever done was an agent in my office. She said, look, my client's foreclosing. This is an agent.
Vegas.
It's been Vegas. Yes. Been in the business for years, 30 years. She's like, I don't know what to do. Foreclosure date set. Can't short sale it. Can't do anything. We're just out of time. He's $29,000 behind. So I said, look, bring me there. It was in the ghetto. She's like, I don't even want to go
North
inside. And
Las
we just drove
Vegas.
it. No, it was in mid north of Vegas. Yeah.
Okay.
Not all the way north, but
Yeah, I know
right
you're
by the
talking.
strip.
Yeah.
So I go to the guy and like, look, you really have no options here. You need me to save this for you. You have no money. He's like, yeah, I don't want to be bankrupt. I don't want this on my credit. I said, look, I'll save it, but I'm going to take the house from you. That's the only option. That's the only option we have here, or it's the bank's going to take it. Like it
Yeah.
was final notice time.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I bought it. I gave him I brought it back up 29, and there was like 80,000 left on the mortgage, and I gave him 20,000 to go move. I think he moved to California, and then I wholesaled it the next day for like 340,000.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, so that was a good one.
That is a home run, dude.
That was a
Did
home
you
run.
close on it? Did
I
you actually close
did.
that?
You know what? I did. I shouldn't say wholesale. I did close on it because I was so nervous of something happening in between the
Yeah.
wholesale deal. So I just closed on it. It was like 3 grand to close on. I'm like, all right, now I own this thing, right? With like I own it. I just paid the 86 off, and then I sold it the following day.
Yeah, that's the way to go. I always tell like new wholesalers, like they think like I've actually found that wholesaling, if you really are doing a lot of it, is more of an advanced strategy because you're in the middle, especially when you're making a lot. Like let's say you're making 70 grand. You're in the middle. You got a buyer who might not be happy with the price. You got a seller who might not be happy with the price. You're in the middle there. And at any given time, you got to be able to close that property if the thing goes fucking south.
Right. And not a lot of
People don't
wholesalers
talk
can
about
now.
that, bro. They don't talk about
No,
that shit.
no, because I think it's a good spot to be in when you're setting up the deal and then the buyer walks away, and then you could tell the seller like, look, the buyer. I always tell the people, the sellers that I'm like the middleman. Like, look, I'm structuring this deal. I'm an agent. I have my license, and this is your buyer over here.
Yeah.
And if that buyer walks, I'm honest. I'm like, look, he walked. And then what normally happens is they're like, can you buy it? And then I'm like, yeah, I could buy it, but I need a bigger discount. And then they're just like so fed up, and they're like, all right, just take it. I've done
100%.
I've done a few deals like that too.
Have you heard of these things called novations?
I have. I think
What are
they're
your
kind
thoughts
of
on
like.
novations
I
as
think
an
they're
agent?
kind of BS. I think
Interesting.
they're. I don't. It's like the new hot thing. I
Yeah.
get it. Maybe I just don't fully understand it as well as the other real estate that I'm educated in. But I think one, I think they're going to be banned soon because you're
Yeah.
like basically taking over somebody's life to make all the decisions for them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to talk too much about it because
Yeah.
I'm not fully educated.
The reason I brought that up is because a lot of people are doing that now, and I see where they're doing it, but I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, well, if this thing gets really popular, like assignments got popular, eventually there's going to be some sort of regulation. Because, like, example, in California, if you have a license, you can legally do a net listing, which is when you basically say you don't got to pay me
Yeah.
commission.
Yep.
I'm going to guarantee you're going to net 500, and then
Yeah. They're
anything above
banned
the
here.
500 is mine for
Yeah. You
commission.
can't do that.
Can't do that in Vegas, right?
Nope.
Yeah. Vegas actually, it was interesting. We did the assignment deal. I was very surprised with how much of a pain in the ass the title company was in order to do an assignment. Like, they made everyone fucking sign these crazy documents, and it was like
Really?
super disclosed.
Oh, dude, this is easy. This is the easiest place to do real estate, in my opinion.
It was not insane, but it was more complicated than I thought, where like the title company just needed like all these documents, just like California does. And I
Right.
thought Vegas was like in Texas. Like, we've done a lot of business in Texas where you could literally sign a napkin and assign the napkin and make money, right? But
That's awesome.
yeah, like in Vegas, it was a little more like red tape than I thought, but it still worked out. But anyway, I digress. So
Do you
go ahead.
now we're talking about marketing in San Diego. I need a condo in the Legend. You ever market there?
Where the fuck is the Legend?
The Legend is right next to Petco Park.
Oh, in like
That,
downtown.
yeah, downtown Gaslamp.
Okay.
You ever been in there?
I've been to Gaslamp, of course.
Okay. No, but the Legend in that building.
Is that the one where you can see the
Yes.
Padres play?
Yep. It's the best freaking condo units that I've ever seen. They're
I
around
know exactly what you're
700,000.
talking about. That's the building where you can watch a Padres game if you're on the right floor.
Yep.
How
Yep.
much do those condos go for?
7 to $1 million. I think we should do a little marketing in there.
Interesting.
I'll pay for it.
The Legend.
The Legend. Let's pull a list. If you're good at it, man. I haven't found a wholesaler that is good at marketing. I've tried a few different people, and they're just like, I don't know, man. They're just so unorganized.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to give you a shot, man. Let's do it.
Interesting. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Okay.
That's interesting because, like, in San Diego, I've noticed it's like people know that it's more expensive than Vegas and it is competitive. But like I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, any market's going to be competitive. Like, if you're in a good market, like it's there's going to be other people competing. Like, it doesn't, whether you're in
Yeah.
San Diego or Phoenix or Long Island or Hudson Valley, like there's a shitload of wholesalers. So it's on you to be good to beat the competition, not the fact there's a lot of competition.
Right. And your job's going to be easier, but now it's going to be harder to sell those deals.
That's what we're seeing now.
Nobody's buying. Nobody's buying
It's
right now.
tough.
Like, I'm not even buying that much right now because it's a little scary, one, and the money's expensive.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's funny. Here's a good story on that in San Diego. So I tied up a house in El Cajon, which is like 25 minutes east of San Diego. And at the time, I got it under contract in February of 2022. And I was like, this will be a home run deal. This will be an 80K assignment, or it'll be like a $120 fix and flip. So I'm like, I'm excited about this thing. It was such a good deal at the time. I agreed to let the seller do a rent back. I'm like, yep, rent it
Oh
back.
boy,
I don't care.
I never
I've
do
done
that.
those. I've done them.
Okay,
I've done them in
will
New York,
never.
actually,
Okay,
successfully. So anyway, so the rub on the deal was that the property was it was gonna have to go through probate, right? Because California, you got to do that. You can't do airship affidavits or anything like that. So
okay.
I get the seller an attorney. It's a contingent basis, like she gets paid when the house sells. And the market, so the thing goes into contract, goes to escrow. She wants a big deposit, and I was going to put the deposit down when I knew she was a legitimate seller, not until she was appointed the administrator, because I'm not going to. Because then if she basically, like, if I put that money into the escrow and then she doesn't sign a cancellation form and she's not the seller, I got to sue her and it's a whole mess. So I was like, fuck it, let me wait. I wait a little bit and things going through probate, and I'm just kind of like, this is taking longer than it should. The brother ends up coming out of the woodworks, comes out of left field from Petco Park, right by your building you want to buy in. And he starts objecting. He's like, what the fuck? Like this, that, and the other. Why is this? What is this? And like, and the sister and the brother start getting in this huge argument. And then the brother like gets involved again. And the thing ends up going to court. And we're supposed to close July 29th. And the market started tanking at that point. And it started really going down. And I'm like, fuck. And then the brother's like, listen, If this buyer wants the property, he's got to put an additional 10,000 in escrow. So then I'm like, fuck it, let me just do it. I throw 25 grand in escrow. Like the next day, I'm like, here you go. We're good. The market continues to drop, and the brother and the sister keep arguing. And now I'm like, shit, I don't know if this thing is going to work out. It ends up coming to the point where now there's a full-blown lawsuit going on. It's in court, the whole thing. I got my deposit tied up. I'm like, let me just try to wholesale this. Nobody wants the property. And I'm like, fuck, this is not good. I'm like, I got to find a way to get out of this deal. And here's why. The contract said the seller should close on her before July 30th, because I knew that the probate was going to take time. So I figured by July, because I signed it in Feb, that's enough time to settle probate. She couldn't perform. I got an attorney involved and legally got my deposit back. But like the market in San Diego dropped that much to where like at the time that was a smoking deal. And then by the time it ended up shaking out, it was not a deal.
That happened here in Vegas too. It's changing. That's why I like the creative financing so much better, because it really softens your risk a lot. You don't have to put a lot of money up.
100%. So as we wrap the show up, man, what's the future look like for you, man? Like what do you got? What do you want to be doing, with this market correction? What is the game plan for you in these other markets?
Just gobbling up real estate as much as possible. We want to just buy as many rentals as we possibly can. And that's kind of doing the creative finance is going to be huge in the next few years. So we have a really big head start on that. But let's definitely do the legend thing.
Yeah.
Do you do mailing too?
We do a little bit of mail. We really actually stopped marketing in San Diego because of the market. Like we were like, the market was like, it's hard. Like we couldn't sell deals. And I'm like, fuck, let's kick the marketing for now. And let's just focus on the East Coast where we have like our bread and butter business. Cause like we know there's still buyers there. Like we assigned like 50K worth of deals last week in Delaware, and people were still buying. So I'm like, for now I'm pausing San Diego. We're going to focus more on the East Coast. So as things start to kind of like flatten out, hopefully in San Diego, we'll start doing more marketing there. But for now, we're mostly just operating on the East Coast.
All right. Well, I'm going to text you after this. I want to get started.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
How do people get in touch with you, bro?
Okay. At J Griggs Real Estate is my Instagram.
Okay.
That's cool. The best way.
Awesome. We'll have people reach out, and thanks for being a guest on the show.
Greg, you're the man. Appreciate it.
See ya.